the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Monday and that you all had a great weekend as well. So we're going to dive into our live today that is going to be based on a rare W5 investigation done into Scientology back in 1973, you guys. So just to set the record straight, as you know, I have bashed the corporate media with a bat to their face for their abysmal, ridiculous, watered down version of investigations that they've been conducting, profiting, and making a ton of money for themselves by all manner of ridiculous headlines, such as Jenna Miscavige had a rocky childhood in church and things like that. And today, I'm actually very happy that we found this rare interview because it shows you what actual journalism sounds like and looks like. And it's the perfect way to juxtapose things that are done correctly with a shred of integrity, with a shred of spine, and the watered down BS narratives that the corporate media has been in the business of pitching since 1993, to be precise. Let's just give them that. Since 1993, they really took a huge pivot in covering this scam as something legitimate, because the corporate media doesn't investigate, you guys. The corporate media regurgitates things they get told. And regurgitating things you get told is not called investigating anything. So back in 1973, the corporate media actually did some real journalism and dared to investigate the dubious and highly criminal activities of Scientology in Toronto. Fast forward to today, and what do we have? An abysmal focus on trivial matters filled with altered importances, all in an effort to misdirect the attention from defenseless kids stuck inside hotels where they have to face clear and present danger on a daily basis. The U.S. was already investigating the record of criminal operations, all under the guidance of indicted and convicted in absentia felon that was on the run, L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of this child trafficking scam, also known as Scientology. And what happened next after this segment came out? Well, the Toronto offices of Scientology got raided, and some members were convicted for breach of public trust. But who needs to remember all of that when we can discuss the latest celebrity Scientology gossip? Right, guys? It's as if the corporate media has bestowed upon Scientology a false sense of legitimacy, allowing them to operate all the child trafficking ways without a shred of restraint, much less any accountability. So it's high time to call out these corrupt enablers and remind them of their duty to real journalism and investigative reporting. Scientology's past and present are rife with criminal child abuse controversies. And it's time for the media to refocus on what actually truly matters instead of chasing their own tail, playing dumb, all to the detriment of kids, no less. So let's take a look at what this interview is actually exposing, you guys. And let's really react to what was already on the public record back in 1973. Imagine that, you guys. If these people would have been shut down, I would have not had to be here talking about this. I was born in 78. So they could have shut him down. This could have all stopped. But apparently, there's been no appetite in the media for any of the child abuse to stop. They are very comfortable with it happening all over the place. So let's really start asking this corporate media why they're so comfortable.
Five years ago, an organization that calls itself Scientology was incorporated for the first time in Canada. The letterhead refers to Scientology as a church. The founder has called it the world's largest mental health organization. The Minister of Health for the United Kingdom said in Parliament in 1968, and I quote, "The government are satisfied, having reviewed all the available evidence, that Scientology is socially harmful. It alienates members of families from each other and attributes squalid and disgraceful motives to all who oppose it. Its authoritarian principles and practice are a potential menace to the personality and well-being of those so deluded as to become its followers."
So shout out to this corporate media here, you guys, that is literally calling all Scientology deluded people that did buy those pitches in those books that L. Ron Hubbard put out for himself, that did buy the pitch with money. They put their money where their mouth was. They grabbed the book. The book said, oh yeah, even a 7-year-old little girl should have no problem getting kissed passionately by a man. And all of a sudden, they thought, what a great idea. What a really reasonable, incredible, groundbreaking idea that we're getting pitched in this book. But yet the corporate media is calling these people deluded back in 73. And today, where is that being called out to themselves? What changed in 73? What transpired between 1973 and 1993 is what we need to understand. From these people being deluded to follow something so disgusting being pitched. 30 years later, they continue to double down and triple down on those delusions. But come to find out, 30 years later, having more receipts, having more people exposed to this disgusting, unthinkable, authoritarian, radicalizing regime from hell, where every last child exposed to these hotels was being abused in unthinkable ways. But yet, the more these people abuse kids, the more they got propped up with power. And they're still operating today with plenty of power, with plenty of entitlement, with plenty to be deluded. The delusions didn't change from 73 to 1993. The delusions got worse. Literally, these people couldn't have been more disgusting. By the time they got told in America that they could just do whatever in the hell was written in those disgusting books. Whatever in the hell, no questions asked. Go run your hotel. We will never come and check on anyone or anything suspicious.
Above all, its methods can be a serious danger to the health of those who submit to them. Close quotes.
Above all, that's what it is. Their methods could not be more dangerous, you guys. Their methods on kids could not be more abominable and disgusting.
The state of Victoria in Australia has passed a law making it a criminal offense for anyone to demand or receive payment for the pseudo-medical practice of Scientology. In Canada,
And see, they already knew this was pseudo medical practice, what these people were doing back in 73, you guys. They already knew it. They already had investigated. They already had seen what the audits were really about, what was being pitched by those audits that they could really handle. Oh, yeah, if you got some cancer, we're really going to help you here. We're going to have you speak ad nauseum about delusions, and that's going to really help you. So let's add practicing law without a license on top of also practicing medicine without a license. Because these people here are know-it-alls after completing a 2-week course inside a hotel. So in what world can someone practice the law after completing a 2-week course inside a hotel? And in what world can someone practice medicine without a license after completing a 2-week course in a hotel? What type of advisory position are these people really giving themselves to be advising, intimately advising on things that they have no shred of a clue how to think about them? Since L. Ron Hubbard himself was no medical genius and was definitely no legal genius. If anything, he was a literal Frankenstein of the law, L. Ron Hubbard. By purporting that propping up hotels, he could just put a cross in front of them, and all of a sudden, the law and medicine were nowhere to be found inside of those hotels, you guys. So let's add to this investigation that not only were they practicing medicine without a license, they are also in the business of selling hours of advisory sessions about law, about felonies, about self-admitted incrimination that people are paying money to incriminate themselves. So in what world can a business, can a 501c be handing out invoices to people because they do have a 2-week course in a hotel that very quickly gets you to be acting as if you're some sort of prosecutor that has the ability to ask anyone anything you feel like asking. It doesn't matter. Go as far as you want. Go as long as you want. Do it as much as you want. Inside of those hotels, all kids will definitely be fair game for y'all inside of the hotels. Grab them, interrogate them, lock them against their will. They're all completely accessible to all of the adults. Grab yourself a child, lock him up inside a hotel, put him on those cans, ask him disgusting, nauseating questions. Everything goes. That's how Debbie Cook was running her hotels. Everything goes. As long as L. Ron Hubbard wrote it in a piece of paper, then you know what? We couldn't be more protected, is what these people really ran with. As long as L. Ron Hubbard wrote it on a piece of paper, it couldn't be more legal. Could not be more legally binding, could not be more legally acceptable. Never mind that they didn't want anyone else to be inside of those hotels while they were running these audits. Right, guys? So let's make sure that that's very, very clear. So yes, they were cool with anyone doing everything, going as far as they want, as long as no one else that wasn't vetted to be inside of the hotel, that didn't have the qualifications, that didn't pass an A to J check. What does it take to pass this A to J check? Incriminate yourself. Have you committed any felonies for which you have not been arrested? The people that are willing to answer that question get approved. The people that don't want to answer that question get told you don't qualify because you're not coming clean with us. So if you don't tell us the felonies that you were all about committing and getting away with, then you're not going to qualify to come inside the hotels. And we are very puritanical and we are very ethical in here. And you have no idea how ethical we are to practice law without a license, because that's not our ethics. L. Ron Hubbard told us that we could do it. So why not?
Canada, Scientology now claims more than 50,000 members. The organization distributes press releases calling established means of treating mental health problems into disrepute. One such release states that, quote, mental health for the Canadian masses is being pushed by 40 Soviet butchers through the Canadian Mental Health Association. Obviously, the activities of this organization in Canada raise serious questions involving the public interest. Most importantly, should Scientology be permitted to deal with the subject of mental health without being held responsible to any public agency, without being subject to regulation of any kind? These are the questions you may want to ask your MP after you have seen this W5 investigation. The largest Scientology...
And you see, guys, the whole mental health issue, which is something that we discussed with Catherine the other day. When we talk about medicine, practicing medicine without a license, what's the pitch that y'all hear from even the people that have left? Oh yeah, auditing is just like therapy. Oh yeah, that's what we call it in there, therapy. In this year 2023, people are still calling audits therapy. Imagine locking up a child against their will inside a hotel and calling that a therapeutic thing. Imagine being that stupid to really pitch that, to really open your mouth and pitch that with a straight face. We really did lock kids against their will, but it was very therapeutic what we thought we were doing inside of those hotels. Never mind that they were video recording the disgusting depravities. Never mind that they were writing contemporaneous notes about the reactions, the squeals, the screams, the complete psychotic breakdowns that kids were having inside of those hotels, while all of the executives laughed and watched it on their little video screen. Oh, look, they really don't want to come clean. Oh, yeah, just keep pulling the withhold. Keep asking him if he's ever stuffed a banana up his, you know exactly what in the hell we're talking. Keep him there. Tell him that he's got to come clean, that there's no way out. The way out's the way through. Continue interrogating that child. Do not stop following up on those dirty needles. That is how children are being treated inside of that disgusting hotel, guys, and all with a straight face. From Debbie Cook, who was the one and only executive that really cannot tell you how amazing of a time she was having inside of those hotels for herself. And she was really helping a lot of kids. She was really doing a lot for the world, that Debbie Cook. She really was.
The organization in Canada is located in Toronto, where it was registered as a non-profit corporation in 1967. Its purpose, according to its charter, is to propagate a religious faith known as Scientology. A sign in the window advertises a tract on mental health. Members invite people in the street to come in for free personality analysis. A W5 researcher who took the test was then asked to sign up for an initial course costing $25. Later courses can come in packages that cost up to $3,000. The courses often include a process called auditing with a machine called an e-meter. A Scientology publication claims that such auditing may improve the subject's IQ. Scientology claims to help people.
And this whole thing about the subject's IQ, you guys, I scored up to 155 on that IQ test. Guess how many times these idiots were having us take the same test? So just look at the false pitch for what it is. They have you take the IQ test and then, oh, take it again. Oh, take it again. Oh, take it again. So yeah, me, myself, as a 14-year-old, already had an IQ of 155, and I had taken the test probably like 20 times. So it couldn't be more pathetic and ridiculous what these people really pitch with their IQ getting better, and they really are increasing the intelligence of nobody. Everybody's just getting conned. They are just ridiculously pathetic and have no shred of critical thinking skills, because they really are really pressed with the idea that L. Ron Hubbard is going to give them some sort of level over others. Scientologists are obsessed with being superior than others. Homo novus. We're the better ones. We're the better versions of humanity. Everyone else is trash. Everyone else is disgusting. We are better. We have it all. We have a technology. You don't have a technology. We really know what in the hell we're doing. The technology was dehumanize others for your own convenience, for your own grift, for your own power trip from hell. So that's who all the L. Ron Hubbard proteges are. And instead of them trying to put so much distance between them and what in the hell they were doing, maybe they need to start actually coming clean with actual withholds, with actual things they did for themselves, instead of just blabbing David's name ad nauseum. Debbie Cook was doing all manner of disgusting depravities all by her own self. David was nowhere to be found 95% of the time that Debbie Cook was running those hotels, you guys. In fact, that's why she was really pressed at the end, because she got pissed that she really got David involved a lot. And I used to be able to do this all on my own. And then David came and ruined my party that I was having in that hotel. Ruin my ability to go and child traffic a ton of minors from all over the world. He really ruined that for her. And she's wah, crying. Oh, I'm so upset. I really am upset. And he really did treat me bad. And he did really put me in a trash can once upon a time. And Debbie Cook was putting kids on trash cans herself. Debbie Cook was doing that to kids at scale. Not one kid, not two kids, not three, not 10, not 100, 50, 200, 300. Because that's what Debbie Cook got off on, abusing minors, abusing kids. She really thought herself very powerful. She really thought herself, I really know what in the hell I'm actually doing, is what Debbie Cook thought for herself, you guys. Inside of those hotels with personality tests, take your test, take your thing. Aren't we helping so many people? Look at these tests that we really have people take 100 million times. We really do help people by having them do the same test all the times and scoring better things for themselves. Wow.
Achieve what is called a state of clear by erasing engrams, or troublesome elements left over from earlier periods in this life and from past lives as well. One Canadian family invested almost $10,000 in Scientology courses. They experienced the full impact of the group's techniques and then requested refunds. Of their $10,000, they got $3,000 back.
Everything that one reaches for in Scientology is always beyond you. And at each level that you're at, there is that fear factor that if I don't do this right, they won't let me have the next.
I basically wanted to reconcile a situation within my family so that my wife and I would have common objectives. And as a result of that, entered and progressed along as far as I could.
I signed what is a contract. I signed a contract for 1 billion years, 1 billion years. Now, I worked on the average approximately 16 hours per day, 7 days a week, for $9.60 a week.
John McLean became part of the Scientology Sea Organization, or Sea Org, and served aboard Hubbard's ship.
I believed in Scientology and in the truths that I saw. Therefore, I was willing to do it right up until I actually made my final decision to leave.
This 1 billion year contract would appear to be, legally, an unconscionable document. The implication is that the signer will continue to serve the organization in future lives. Hubbard first came to public attention as a science fiction writer. Many of his policy directives and much of his philosophy seems to reflect that background. Hubbard himself claims to have ended his association with the World Organization and has said that he is simply loafing aboard this ship. A measure of the organization's wealth is the fact that this converted cattle ship is just one of several Scientology yachts on.
You can already see a kid right next to L. Ron Hubbard who says he's loafing in a ship, you guys, to cover up his ass about all the money he was stealing.
Station in various parts of the world. Little film is available of Hubbard himself. In 1967, a British television interviewer asked him to explain Scientology in layman's terms.
I think that'd be a relatively easy idea because it's actually a subject which is designed for the layman. And if you couldn't explain it to the layman, you would have a very difficult time of it. The subject name means skio, which means knowing how to know in the fullest sense of the word, ology, which is study of. So it is actually study of knowingness. That is what the word itself means. It
Study of knowing criminal activity is what he means, you guys. Study of incriminating yourselves, literally asking people to tell you what felonies they've committed because they have a technology that all of a sudden the felonies and the self-admitted criminal behavior by the miracle of this disgusting degenerate are going to somehow float, is how they pitch it. Oh yeah, the felony you just told us is going to float. Don't you worry. Aren't we so advanced in here in these hotels? Aren't we so advanced in this disgusting ship that I'm keeping other minors locked against their will? I'm literally child trafficking minors in a ship. And apparently, even back in 73, no one was calling out the atrocities being done to kids, you guys, because everybody was still like trying to understand L. Ron Hubbard's pitch. Oh, what did you say it was? Well, what do you say you mean? As if it even matters what in the hell this disgusting, degenerate, indicted, convicted felon wants to pitch. He's nothing but a disgusting child trafficker, disgusting child abuser, disgusting man that made all of our parents go utterly insane. A man that told parents, your kids are just adult in small bodies, so abuse them because who cares? They're just adults. They can consent even if they can't. They know what in the hell is going on inside of these audits that we're going to do. And we're going to really find out if in another lifetime, they really actually did something wrong themselves every time we abuse them is what we're going to convince them on. Oh, you really want to complain? Oh, you really want to tell us that you had an out to D with an adult? Well, did you do something like that before in another lifetime? Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at what you did instead of coming and telling us that an adult literally forced themselves on you. Let's just take a look and see if maybe you force yourself on somebody else in another lifetime, okay? So let's really take a look, take another look, take another look, take another look. They wouldn't let you out of the room until you told them, oh yeah, never mind. 500 years ago, I was in Egypt and I did lock someone up against their will too. Ha ha ha, does make so much sense now why you're locking me up against my will. Oh my God, I had a win. Oh my God, my needle must be floating. Oh my God. Thank you, L. Ron Hubbard. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have realized that all of the abuses I'm receiving right now as we speak, it's all just been my own fault. Isn't that incredible, L. Ron Hubbard? Aren't you such a genius? Aren't you with those disgusting teeth? I mean, how somebody could have bought a pitch from a disgusting pig with disgusting teeth is literally beyond nauseating, you guys. Never mind that you're about to see more kids that L. Ron Hubbard had in that ship just about now.
increases one's knowingness. But if a man were totally aware of what was going on around him, he would find it relatively simple to handle any outnesses in that.
The Scientology
Look at
Sea
that, guys.
Organization
Look at
is,
the
in
age
Hubbard's
group.
words, a highly disciplined elite group and forms the vanguard of the Scientology movement. Its purpose is to lead the struggle Hubbard is waging to, quote, clear.
Look at that kid right here. Look at the age of that kid. As if they weren't child trafficking kids back in the ship. As if Debbie Cook didn't just child traffic a bunch of kids for herself. Because her little daddy figure, her little favorite influencer of the year, that Debbie Cook is on the public record pitching how amazing L. Ron Hubbard was, what a great humanitarian, was having kids of this age inside that ship being trafficked by him and his adult proteges. The other unhinged degenerates that thought, yeah, L. Ron Hubbard really knows what in the hell he's talking about. I want to become L. Ron Hubbard. How can I become L. Ron Hubbard? Where can I pay to become L. Ron Hubbard? How many courses do I have to be doing so that I can really be like L. Ron Hubbard? I really want to be like L. Ron Hubbard is what all of these people are saying to themselves, you guys. So don't just buy the pitch that there were just some innocent brainwashed victims that didn't know what in the hell they were doing. They knew what in the hell they were doing. They were doing it with full entitlement and without a shred of consent and without a shred of concern as to who was being hurt so that they could have a power trip for themselves. Get it? All the power trips that L. Ron Hubbard pitched had to be done at the expense of the people they were preying on, including but not limited to the kid that you see right here in this screen.
Unquote, the planet Earth, before moving on to other planets. He issues policy directives, many of which are couched in quasi-military jargon.
More kids,
Great
more
emphasis
kids
is placed
everywhere.
on so-called ethics and discipline. The directives specify many crimes against Scientology. Crimes are punished by such penalties as placing a dirty gray rag on the left arm. Hubbard is regarded by his followers as a prophet.
Another kid right there in the background. Hubbard was regarded by his followers as a prophet. Well, you know what, guys? We were kids that were born inside of this disgusting hotel chain operation. And believe you me, we know who L. Ron Hubbard is. A disgusting, convicted, indicted felon with rotten teeth. A full-blown child trafficker from hell that the New York Times really thought, you know what would be a great idea? To give that man that pitched pedophilia at scale a New York Times bestseller 19 times. That would be a very great idea to do. Because you know what? It's like us journalists at the New York Times that don't read anything about a very controversial subject that was very fishy AF. I mean, as if not this investigation being done where they're showing you the inside of the ship. This is where L. Ron Hubbard was still dumb and stupid and would allow people to come and video record some of the stuff they were doing behind the scenes. They got better, you guys. They literally cut out all access to media after this interview here. Oh, no one come to the ship again. They really are showing that we have minors in here. Never mind that even went over the head of the media back then. Never mind that they were still trying to scratch their head and figure out, well, L. Ron Hubbard says Scientology is knowing more, knowing this, knowing that. So the corporate media, even though this is, light years ahead of all the other stupid corporate media that's come out more recent, they're still too stupid to understand that kids are the ones at risk. Kids don't have a shred of ability to consent. They don't have any advocate inside of those hotels or ships or whatever in the hell they're being kept against their will. They don't have a voice. Whatever they say is going to be ignored. These people have no shred of critical thinking skills, these adults. No common sense. Common sense is canceled. All common sense is full-blown canceled by L. Ron Hubbard. You cannot have common sense. You cannot say L. Ron Hubbard said anything that was wrong, because how dare you? Who do you think you are to tell L. Ron Hubbard, the one that these adults do think of as a prophet? And that's why our parents are in the fucked up position they are in today, you guys. That's why no Scientology parent can defend themselves. They bought the pitch. They did the unthinkable to their kids. They became L. Ron Hubbards themselves. So the day that they can start pitching why they became this convicted, indicted felon, his ideas, his technology, pitched all as a thing, the day that those Scientology parents can start making sense for themselves will be the day this trafficking of minors stops. But if everyone still continues to cradle and canoodle them and, oh, you were really brainwashed. Oh, you poor thing. You had no idea what you were doing. Were you video recording what you were doing? Were you transcribing what you were doing? Were you writing reports on what you were doing? Were you writing knowledge reports on what you were doing? Were you telling every single person that you knew was happening and telling someone else and telling everyone else, and everyone was implicated, but no one knew what in the hell they were doing? So how does that work, you guys? If you record, transcribe, tell everything of everything going on inside of those hotels to everyone, like Debbie Cook used to do, staff meeting, you guys, let's tell you all what happened this week. 4 minors went out to eat with 8 different adults. These are their names. These are their posts. And you know what? We're going to check meter checks. We're going to do a lot of meter checks on y'all and make sure that you didn't also go out to eat. Because you know what? If somebody went out to eat over there, then more people must have gone out to eat, right? So we have all these minors and all of these adults having sex in the hotel. And yeah, we're all implicated. We all know everything. But you know, now I really think, Debbie Cook, really thinks it's a great idea to discuss this at our staff meeting and just tell everyone. Because if I just tell everyone, then I must not be doing something illegal. Right, guys? As long as you tell 600 people where the minors were being raped that week. Every week. So if a minor didn't get raped that week, then, we didn't have that problem this week, you guys. We're doing so great. But then the next week, we just have 3 that we did find out were fully out to eat. And let's give you a golden rod with all the details. You would arrive to the staff meeting where a literal piece of paper said, Savannah Royce, she was 16, you guys, had literal out to eats with this person, that person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. 8 people. They're all named in the golden rod. Everyone know. We really need to make sure everyone gets told, because again, according to Debbie Cook, if she really told everyone of Class A felonies being perpetrated on minors, then it was all okay. Then she wasn't practicing law without a license. Then she was, doing what L. Ron Hubbard told her to do, which is tell everyone who's committing felonies, because, she was so puritanical and ethical, that Debbie Cook. Really, really puritanical is what she pitched herself as. But really, was she that puritanical, or was she just a degenerate? Full-blown, self-entitled, disgusting child trafficking degenerate that runs circles around Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is nothing compared to Debbie Cook, who did this every week. Every single week that she was the captain of that hotel. She took it upon herself to let everyone know who had sex with a minor inside of her hotels. Every Thursday, if that took place, she would take it upon herself to tell everyone. Never the police was called. Never was the Clearwater police involved. Are you kidding me? Are you literally kidding me? You think Debbie Cook would really be calling the Clearwater police and says, yeah, we have these self-admitted felons that they did actually tell us that they were having sex on the 3rd floor with a minor inside one of these hotel converted rooms that we have with a massage table in each one of them. Oh yeah, and then, we actually did catch them also because we have cameras in every hallway and we also have cameras inside the hotel room. So we have it all on camera. We have it all on video. We know everything. So we have a full criminal case in our hands, but we are thinking of sending one of them to South Africa. And we're going to think of sending the other one away as well, because you know what? They're really not actually conforming to our high ethical standards that we keep in this hotel. All of a sudden, they have shown themselves not to be ethically at the level we need them to be. And just like that, all of these kids that you see here, you guys, being exposed to abuse, including but not limited to sexual abuse by adults, they have no advocate for themselves. And there's a ton of minors still today. Imagine that.
The man who invented something called Dianetics, and later Scientology itself. Hubbard has said Scientology is as important to mankind as the invention of the wheel and the arch. Devotion to the Scientology creed is costly. An individual can spend as much as $8,000 trying to reach the improved state known to Scientologists as clear. These are just a few of the courses Scientology offers. Each course has a prerequisite, which also costs money. The church doesn't talk about fees, but states that payment for these courses is a donation to further the cause. W5 has been informed that the Toronto organization's gross income has fluctuated between a few $1,000s and $25,000 a week. No one is certain just how much of the money goes to Hubbard's headquarters, but at least 10% is sent abroad as a kind of tithe, and more is paid out for books and other materials. An advertisement for the e-meter. Scientologists call it a confessional aid. The machine measures galvanic skin resistance.
Now we're going to continue with the security check.
Similar instruments are components in conventional lie detectors. The e-meter is vital to Scientology auditing.
Have you ever been sexually unfaithful?
Have you ever been sexually unfaithful? You guys, why would adults strap kids to this spiritual machine where they're really just using it as an enhanced interrogation technique is what it's called? If you're strapped to something, locked up against your will, you cannot move an inch, you cannot move a finger, you cannot twitch, you cannot do anything. You are at the beck and mercy of that degenerate sitting across from you, entitling themselves to ask you anything they want for hours. Not one question and then, okay, we're done, bye. No. Hours and hours ad nauseum, getting recorded, getting video recorded because they're making a whole video, a whole movie out of this disgusting, dehumanizing, unthinkable torture from hell. Is sadistic AF. It's indefensible AF. I mean, no kid can be subjected to this. Yet all kids are subjected to this still in this year 2023. Nothing has ever been done to help kids not get subjected to these disgusting things. In what world can we live in a civilized society where children are being abducted against their will, locked up, and asked disgusting, depraved questions ad nauseum for hours and hours on end while everybody watches, while everybody checks it, while everybody checks the quality is what they call it. Oh yeah, I really need to check the quality. Richard Reese checking the quality. Well, guess what else was coming up in Richard Reese's ethics cycles, you guys? That he was doing this to the videos of the minors that he would watch get interrogated, and he would get off on that. And Richard was not the only one. All manner of CSs would be reading these disclosures and literally this, you guys. Literally this to what they were watching. Literally this to what they were reading. They were getting off on it literally. Oh, but don't worry. Debbie Cook, as soon as she found out that Richard was doing this, she went and got his ethics in. Richard, why are you doing that? That is so out ethics of you, Richard. You should not be doing this when you're hearing kids being asked disgusting, depraved questions that we are video recording for ourselves because we know what in the hell we're doing inside of this hotel. In what world can these MFs be doing this to children that are being asked disgusting, unthinkable questions? Because yes, what adult would subject to this? I don't know. I wouldn't know what adult would do that. But how they could be subjecting kids to this, that's what I find more unthinkable and indefensible AF. Especially since this is still a full-blown thing as we speak right now, you guys. That's all.
No. Every auditor is urged to buy one. The margin of profit on this particular machine, which Scientology sold to one auditor for $150, would be about 300%. The procedure shown here is called a security check. Hubbard announced the abolition of this questionnaire in 1968.
According to a policy put out by Ron Hubbard in 1968, it was abolished. It was mainly due to political pressures put on Scientology by the British government. There was a lot of public outcry against these security checks in England.
Has it been used since 1968 in Canada, in this country?
Yes. It just came back into use in 1972 when, in Canada, an executive in Scientology and myself were the first two individuals to have the security check started on. And my mother and my wife and my father also had the security check.
Could you give me some more of the question?
Sure. Have you ever been a member of a communist party or any associated group?
No.
All right. Have you ever had any unkind thoughts about L. Ron Hubbard?
No.
For a Scientologist to have an unkind
And just so you guys know about the security checks, because there was for a very tiny short period of time where they were so-called canceled, no more security checks. Never mind that this was back in the late 60s. But again, L. Ron Hubbard's stupid, unworkable technology cannot work if you have one withhold from these people. So no matter what, the whole drill is always you don't have a privacy whatsoever. We owned your data. We owned your information. We owned your life. We owned you. Adults that signed up for this wanted to be owned. They loved it. They got off on it. Oh my God, I'm owned by L. Ron Hubbard. I'm owned by Debbie Cook. She's my master and commander. My lieutenant commander is Debbie Cook. I love that she owns me. She really hooks it up for me. She really knows all my felonies, and she really does cradle and canoodle me and protect me and keeps me safe from the Clearwater Police and keeps me safe from the FBI and keeps me safe from any legal repercussions. Well, now you understand why adults love Debbie Cook. where they felt so advocated for when Debbie Cook put that stupid letter out talking about how, isn't it inconvenient that you all are getting made to pay money for the IIS instead of paying money to get interrogated? Aren't you so completely insulted that instead of actually paying money to go get these interrogations where you will self-incriminate, you're just being asked to donate money to the air? That was Debbie Cook's beef. Imagine that, you guys. 17 years this woman was selling these disgusting interrogations, knowing that Richard Reese was literally doing this as he was reading disgusting things in those sessions, as they were producing the content. Producing content, guys. It's not like the hotel was not producing content. They produce content. That's what it's called. Video record. Watch. Who gets to watch it? Oh, here, Debbie Cook. Take a look at this video. Take a look at what came up. Oh, good. Here, Kirsten from OSA. Take a look at this video. Take a look at what came up. Take a look at what they said. Take a look at what they admitted. Take a look at all the felonies that we got them to talk about. Take a look at that, because their needle did float. Oh, and do check the floats to make sure that they really did float. Because you know what? As long as the needle went like this, you guys, literally that, and all of a sudden, felonies mean nothing. Self-admitted criminal behavior means nothing. L. Ron Hubbard's technology could not be more miraculous. So if L. Ron Hubbard's technology is so miraculous, why is every attorney in the entire United States not going and grabbing for themselves some Scientology sect checkers that, you know, could clear their clients of all manner of felonies? Because why go to law school when you can have an L. Ron Hubbard protege launder the felony right quick? Like quick. This is quick. In 2 hours, it did really float. So you really are done with that. Right, Danny Masterson? That's why Danny Masterson is as appalled as he is for having gotten caught, you guys. Because he's like, hey, well, I did pay a ton of money to these people, and they did tell me that if it floated, then it doesn't matter. And, you know, here we are with L. Ron Hubbard. No one can have an unkind thought of L. Ron Hubbard, because otherwise, you know, they were slaves to L. Ron Hubbard. They loved being his slave. Adults have the ability to consent, to be subjugated AF, to be made slaves, to be humiliated, to be shat on. No one can come to an adult's rescue if that's what gets them off. But why in the hell are kids involved in what these adults are all about is what we need to understand in this year 2023. Maybe it made so much sense to everybody, as much as it's been pitched by the ridiculous media as a problem that is very esoteric and really complicated to figure it out, because we can't figure out child abuse. Is it child abuse, or is it a religious experience that these kids are having for themselves? Is what the Tampa Bay Times is still wondering today, guys. Imagine that. Imagine the Tampa Bay Times with not a shred of critical thinking skills to investigate their way out of a literal paper bag. They're that pathetic. They're really that pathetic.
Thought about L. Ron Hubbard would definitely be considered an outness, and the person having such a thought might be considered suppressive.
Have you ever had any unkind thoughts about L. Ron Hubbard?
No, not really.
All right. Your needle's floating. And that's the end of the session.
See? Your needle's floating. Oh, you never had an unkind thought of L. Ron Hubbard? Have you ever done something sexually perverted with children? Oh, your needle's floating. You're good. You're good. We're going to end the session now. So there you guys are. We actually see one of these actual sessions being shown to y'all so that you understand what Scientology is, for all of this community that is so invested in trying to understand what in the literal hell is all of this stuff about Scientology. Scientology is sessions, you guys. The criminal acts get committed because these people get to role play doing these sessions to purport that they can be prosecutors, they can be medical doctors, they can be advisors, they can be interrogators, they can be money laundering, they can do all at once in those sessions. All of those things happen. All of those things happen inside those sessions. That's what the Scientology is sessions. Scientology is not where Shelley Miscavige is. Who in the hell cares where the hell she is? Shelley Miscavige was all about these sessions taking place. She thought it was a great idea. She loved it. She wanted everyone to be interrogated in this way, Shelley Miscavige. But yet that's the only talking point this corporate media runs with ad nauseum for over a decade plus. Why are kids being subjected to these interrogations in this year, 2023? Why is that not a shred of a concern to any of the Scientology parents, including but not limited to the ones that have so-called walked out of the threshold of the hotel? And all of a sudden, you guys, they're still thinking, my needle floated because I left the hotel. So I no longer have anything to do with that. That was really messed up what happened there. David Miscavige ruined the fun. And you know what? Let me really do tell my victim story that I really want to tell everyone about. The enablers are not the victims. Those who were enabling this abuse at scale, watching it, supervising, video recording, ordering more kids to be brought into the hotel to service all of these disgusting public that were so about getting serviced by kids. That would be great for them to start explaining themselves in this year 2023. Why are Scientologists so obsessed with getting serviced by kids? Why? Including but not limited to grandmas, grandfathers, aunts and uncles. Y'all are adults. Y'all got the access to the hotel. Y'all got told there's a fucking waiter right there that's 14 years old that did really sign a contract for 1 billion years, and she is going to be bringing y'all your meal. We did find her in Siberia, and we did get her in here, and she has an R1 visa, so she can do whatever in the hell we tell her to do. She's a slave. She really loves it. She really is a volunteer, but we do have her passport locked up. So all of those things don't make a shred of sense, you guys. So that's the juxtaposition of 73, 83, 93, 03, 2013, literally 2023, 5 decades later. And we are just advocating on behalf of kids. And we are not here. We don't have the bandwidth to give a single F about the adults. That we're all about this culture. That we're all about, yeah, everything goes. We're all about it. As long as the Joneses are doing it, we can do it too. You did it. You signed up your kids to the Sea Org? Great. Then I can do it too. Oh, you trafficked your kids? Oh, I can traffic them too. Let's go. Oh, you don't give a fuck if there's minors being made ethics officers of adults? You really want to go tell a minor a felony you committed because they really know what in the hell they're doing because they completed a 2-week course under Debbie Cook? Then that's great. I think that's a great idea. That's a great pitch. That really makes a lot of sense. That really doesn't smell of anything illegal that we're doing in this hotel. Nothing smells illegal to these people. They are so sure of themselves, you guys. That's the problem.
That's it. You can put the cans down.
Now, you've had the machine apart.
Barry Smith is a biomedical engineer who specializes in the design and manufacture of electronic equipment for use in the field of mental health. Mr. Smith dismantled the e-meter and reported that it was of a type used to measure galvanic skin resistance. He explained that the meter portion was technically sound, but that the tin can electrodes were ineffective. On the quality of the unit as a whole, he reported,
the system as a whole, which includes the electrodes, is not a good system because the electrodes are subject to this tendency to rely heavily on the pressure exerted on the tins to the point where the pressure will swamp out the galvanic response of the tissues in question.
This book was published by Hubbard in 1968.
And that point that he just made, you guys, about the conductors and the electors not being good, that emitter machine was so easy to manipulate. You could literally just like move your feet and the needle would start moving around. You could make yourself have a floating needle. You could let go of the cans and exert pressure. You can make the meter read how you wanted it to read. And that was even one of the questions that they would ask you. In this session, have you deliberately tried to influence the emitter because they knew their stupid machine couldn't work? They knew that people would be literally trying to influence the machine all the time to get out of getting locked up against their will with no way out. That became like so many of us kids that got trained. Some of us at least were treated as adults since we were kids. So we were already fully adulticized and knew how the machine needed to read in order for us to get out of the room after being asked these disgusting questions. But some kids, you guys, they had no idea. They had no clue what happened to them. I mean, so many of the kids that are reaching out to me today is all I hear. I don't know what they did to me for all those hours. I can't tell my therapist what happened. It's all just a blur and a blank, and I have no idea. Like the level of disassociation is so unthinkable because the level of intellectual abuse coupled by horrendous power dynamic imbalances from a person that gave themselves the ability to lock you against your will, where you couldn't move, where you had to answer disgusting questions that you had no idea why they were being asked. And everyone around you, all the adults, acted like, aren't you so lucky being asked those disgusting, depraved questions? Aren't you so lucky to be going in session? Aren't you so lucky to be getting abuse in disgusting ways? Well, all of the adults loved it. They loved that the kids went in session. You know, I think Reese is bringing up all those receipts that you're seeing on those moms groups on Facebook where the moms cannot stop telling on themselves how much they love that their underage kids are being subjected to these interrogations. So great. My kid is going in session. My 9-month-old baby is going in session. Because I really should be paying some sort of random to have their way with my kid at 9 months old. Because that is a very great idea that I'm having for myself in this year 2023. Because Child Protective Services in Florida is so stupid and so scared of helping a child that they won't do anything. They'll just stick their head inside the Clearwater Beach sand, along with the Clearwater Police, along with the Tampa Bay Times, along with Child Protective Services, along with the FBI offices of human trafficking in Tampa, that hasn't seen a shred of suspicious activity of kids that land in Tampa Bay International Airport, 14-year-olds. Oh, what are you here to do? Oh, I'm here to work at that hotel. Welcome to Tampa Bay. Welcome to Tampa Bay. Welcome. Go be a religious volunteer. Go get your passport locked up. We are the FBI. We have no idea what in the hell we're doing. We have no security in this airport. Traffickers, come and bring your kids through the Tampa Bay airport. You will be so not detected. These people haven't been detected in 50 plus years. Imagine that, you guys. How many minors do y'all think have landed in that airport with all the security personnel turning a blind eye? It's called they're so used to the smell of shit, they have no way of smelling it. That's what that's called. And that's the problem with the Tampa Bay Times and the Clearwater Police and all the people that's supposed to be doing security and enforcing laws in the state of Florida. That is literally all within a mile radius, like all right there happening nonstop.
It describes some of the Scientology ethics which applied at that time. Certain people could be declared enemies or suppressive persons, SP for short. This order, issued October 18, 1967, said that an enemy could be declared fair game. Note the bottom line. He could be tricked, sued, lied to, or destroyed. A year later, Hubbard sent out an amendment dated October 21, 1968. The amendment said, the practice of declaring people fair game will cease. Fair game will not appear on any Scientology order. It causes bad public relations.
Bad public relations is all these people were ever pressed about, you guys. Oh, how are we going to be perceived? See, when you're running a racketeering enterprise, you really do care how you're being perceived, given that the racketeering enterprise is only surviving as a result of people not smelling what it is. Not, oh no, they are religious activity going on. We can't have a shred of critical thought in America. We're very pressed to let everyone have their way with kids in whatever way they want. As long as there's a cross anywhere to be found, then no courts of the United States can have an opinion. They can't even think straight. They can't even hear anything. No context can be provided whatsoever. We cannot do anything, you guys. No, I'm sorry. No separation of state and church, because the Church of Scientology that is trafficking kids at scale is a church. So that then that's not a crime anymore. All of a sudden, the laws don't apply. All of a sudden, the laws could not be more toothless. All of a sudden, all laws against common sense of abuse of minors at scale by degenerates that will entitle themselves to have that right for themselves. Our parents exploited a loophole AF. That's what that is called, you guys. That's all this is called. It's called a loophole. Oh, yeah, well, the law. You're supposed to be acting in good faith. You're supposed to be proving that you're acting in bad faith before the law is supposed to think that you're doing something in bad faith. Okay? But the problem is, this documentary that came out 5 decades ago already showed how little good faith there was even to begin with. Right? And now we have everything done with bad faith. Everything done in a way that abuses kids. Everything done that puts kids in clear and present danger. Because that's what it was when L. Ron Hubbard first came up with those pitches. And those pitches that no one can change, no one can alter, no one can have a shred of critical thinking skills for themselves. Even all the top attorneys of the entire United States, the 200 and plus firms that really did get for themselves an attorney-client relationship with this 501c, because they really did think this is a great idea. It's going to make us a ton of money for our firms. And since, all the writings and the rants of this indicted felon are going to be classified religious, then we're never going to have any type of guardrails that we're going to give our client. And since it's so hard to prove any criminal cases in America, then you know what? Everything is okay. Everything is just okay. Let's all just get away with industrial child trafficking of minors at scale. Because L. Ron Hubbard is telling us that we can get away with it, and that the kids are just adults in small bodies. Who gives an F?
Then Hubbard adds, this new policy does not cancel any policy on the treatment or handling of a suppressive person. This Scientology order, number 887, was issued in Toronto. It ordered Nan McLean's expulsion from Scientology. The list of accusations covered 10 points, including seeking to splinter off an area of Scientology, hiding data that was vital to prevent upsets, omissions requiring heavy interventions by seniors consuming their time and money, refusing to report, protecting a staff member guilty of a Scientology crime, and snarling about justice. Nan McLean was a true believer. She joined Scientology in a search for personal identification.
And there you go, guys. Again, that was an ethics order from someone that was disaffected from Scientology, right? Well, imagine that they make those ethics orders for all the self-admitted pedophiles. Imagine that they write it down. Imagine that they put the specifics. They tell this is who they did it with. This is how many times they raped this child. And they really did violate, you know, some wishy-washy thing that they put in the ethics book where it's like any perverted conduct contrary to the well conduct of a Scientologist. It is so outrageous that they are documenting the felonies. That Debbie Cook documented every single time the crime of rape took place inside of her hotels. She documented it. She wrote it down. She ordered people to get video recording admissions of what they did. She ordered the abuser. She ordered the child. The child was treated as an abuser themselves. How could you have dared to violate an out 2D law that we did right for ourselves inside these hotels? They would literally pretend that they were so puritanical and ethical in there that it was the child's fault for allowing an adult to abuse them. Imagine you are the woman who runs this hotel, and then imagine you write an email pitching to your adult subordinates that loved you so much, the Captain FSO. Oh my God, Debbie Cook, so beloved. She was so wonderful. You know, she always wanted all the people to go up the bridge. She really wanted the adults to have a very beautiful, amazing, friendliest place on earth is what Debbie Cook pitched to these people, you guys. It is the friendliest place on earth to self-admitted felons. To self-admitted felons, you cannot find a more friendly operation in the whole wide world. There is none. You know, and as much as Scientology likes to bash on psychiatry and psychologists, guess what? Self-admitted felons can go to a psychiatrist's office to help themselves, to relieve themselves of their guilt by admitting to felonies, because these therapist offices are mandated reporters. And if they are laundering self-admitted felonies from people, they will sooner or later get found out about, and they will deal with repercussions that are legal, not repercussions in a hotel, repercussions dished out by people, including but not limited to Julian Schwartz, the 13-year-old that was told to do a course by Debbie Cook, and then all of a sudden, he was in charge of all the felonies being admitted to inside those hotels. Right under Richard Reese, the guy that was literally doing this by reading disgusting things, sexual things. He was data mining off of kids. So yeah, what a great environment to have your kids. And what a great environment for Debbie Cook to pretend that she was Little Miss Sunshine, innocent AF. The Tampa Bay Times cradled her and canoodled her. Oh, we're really obsessed with David Miscavige. So just tell us what David Miscavige did to you, Debbie Cook, because we really need to know. Was David Miscavige really into beating adults? Should we cradle and canoodle every last adult that was beaten? Should we really be giving all the oxygen in the room to adults that between them all, crazy, unhinged, deranged, for whatever in the hell reason, agreed to be part of that culture? They were vying to be part of these posts, you guys. Debbie Cook didn't get to that post because she didn't want to be the captain. Angie Blankenship didn't get to be the COCMO Clearwater because she didn't want to be the COCMO Clearwater. These people wanted to climb the pyramid scheme. They begged to be chosen for those titles, for those posts. They begged, please pick me. I'm Debbie Cook. I'm so qualified. I really want to do this. I really can prove that I will do it. I will follow command intention. I will blind myself. I will poke my eyes with a pen every time a felony gets committed inside of these hotels. And I will just launder it because, you know, that's what we do. That's what we all do here in these hotels. But we are really practicing a lot of help to people. We are really helping a lot of self-admitted felons. It's all that's happening 24/7, 365 inside of these hotels, you guys.
She persuaded her family to join with her, and together they invested almost $10,000. These are some of the awards and certificates she received. She started as a student, eventually became a staff member, and achieved the distinction of being called a Hubbard Dianetic Counselor. Her daughter, Susan,
Counselor, guys. We were being told in this disgusting, ridiculous, I mean, you know, give it up to them for making certificates that look legit. Right? Like, literally give it up to them, you guys. Literally, wow, how amazing. You did a certificate that looks like that. And all of a sudden, why go to university? Why study how the law actually works? When L. Ron Hubbard gave us shortcuts where we can role play being those people that know what in the hell they're doing, because it won't matter inside of our hotels. This certificate will make you a counselor, and all of a sudden you are going to be a know-it-all. All of a sudden you're going to know everything. You're going to be able to do anything you want. Aren't you so powerful, Scientology people? Aren't you so powerful that you complete a 2-week course and all of a sudden you have more power than all the prosecutors in the state of Florida combined? Isn't that great, you guys? That you can just complete a 2-week course and all of a sudden, literal prosecutors, career prosecutors could not be more irrelevant, could not be more pathetic, could not have less powers than a Scientology auditor that does get one of these little certificates like the one that you're seeing right here. They were so proud of their certificates. I mean, these certificates really hold their weight in shit. That's literally all they do.
Susan was the only member of the family who didn't buy Scientology.
I found that people in my own family were doing things that were totally against their character. They were, and they'll dispute it in the sense that they don't like to think that their character was changed for the worse. They like to think that all of the change was for the better, but it wasn't.
The McLean.
I mean, and that girl right there, you guys, I'm like, who in the hell is she? She's my best friend. I finally feel like somebody understands me and can say it exactly for what it is. These people pretended they changed their character for the better. She saw her family be taken, be transformed into this horrible thing that they weren't before, but they did become that after they got exposed. So that's what's so dangerous about cradling and canoodling people's delusions for them. Oh, don't insult them. Debbie Cook is going to be so insulted. And she's just going to find it so hard to reconcile with the fact that she's a child trafficker. Let's really all go so easy on Debbie Cook. Let's just continue to wait and just, pray. Dear Lord, I pray that Debbie Cook opens her eyes. I pray that she stops cashing her check that she cashes every month to keep her mouth shut, so that all the criminal activity that she was all about doing to kids when she was around doesn't stop. But again, this girl called it like it is back in 73, told the corporate media what happened to her family once they were exposed and how detrimental it was for each one of her family members to be involved. And she even calls him out that they're like, yeah, we were doing it for the best. We were really getting so much better. L. Ron Hubbard didn't want anyone to get better, you guys. L. Ron Hubbard only wanted everyone to be as disgusting as he was. That's what he got off on.
Rains are a middle-class family who live in the country north of Toronto. Eric, the father, is a former intelligence officer in the Royal Canadian Air Force. The family is liked and respected in the community.
Intelligence officer in the Royal Canadian Air Force, you guys. I mean, proof that Scientology was always looking for people that could really infiltrate to places that they needed to go to. So here they went with an intelligence military background at the top of this family that they did recruit, that they did make become Scientologists.
Various members of the family tell how their experience affected them.
I enjoyed utilizing my power against others. When someone was going to have a committee of evidence due to some crime that they had committed, what I would do upon occasion would be to just take the book, volume 1, in the organizational executive course of Scientology, and open it and just run down and write down on a committee of evidence the worst charges I could find, just to basically catch the person in everything that was possible to catch him on, no matter how minute. And when I saw myself doing that, well, I had to stop it.
On at least.
So do you see how it sounds to actually come clean after being in Scientology, you guys? This is what it sounds to come clean. I enjoyed the power trips that L. Ron Hubbard bestowed upon me to go and dehumanize others. I loved it. That's how much Debbie Cook loved her power. To use committee of evidence to literally convince kids that if they were sexually abused, it was their fault. And Debbie Cook would throw the book at the kid that got abused. You're disgusting. You and your tutti flows. You and your sexual vibes. You are so disgusting. You look what you did to my organization. You distracted all of these adults. You're the one that caused the problem. Kids would become targets of predators inside of her hotels, and Debbie Cook would turn it on the victim. Because it would be like, well, you know, you had 8 different people do this to you, so you're the one with the problem. Look how many you lured into becoming an out to deer, because that's all they would call it. They would never call it a rapist. They would never call it a disgusting, unhinged, child abusing felon. Oh no, you look how much out to deer you created for us. Look how many people we're going to lose now as a result of you making them go out to deer with you. So this power dynamic imbalance and power trips and delusions of grandeur are so dangerous, it's not even funny. Literally.
3 occasions, I was asked for lists of the names of teachers within my area, and not only at my school, but also within the county. And the object of obtaining a list of names, presumably, was so that they could be flooded with literature and contacted by the organization. That's one of the things that I refused to do.
I felt that anything that I would do to help Scientology was right, regardless of how much it harmed other people. And from like the viewpoint of a public citizen and going against the laws of the land. But if it helps Scientology,
Even going against the laws of the land, you guys. But if it helps Scientology, then it was all Gucci. If it helps Scientology, then what is the literal problem? This is what coming clean actually sounds like. So for all the idiots at the corporate media that did buy the pitch from Debbie Cook that she was an amazing executive, that she really did know what in the hell she was doing, that she was so well-intentioned, and only the fact that she was put in a trash can at the very end of her little tenure, because let's not forget, you guys, Debbie Cook had children as her slaves. Emma from England that she brought for herself. She was 14 when she got started. Emma knows Savannah Royce very well. We were all kids together being made to do posts together. So Emma knows exactly when Savannah Royce went out to eat and how many men raped her inside of those hotels, only to have Debbie Cook blame it on Savannah. So yeah, that was one of Debbie Cook's little slaves. And then she had Tanya that she got from Sweden. She flew her in from Sweden to also be one of her communicators. So plenty, like Debbie Cook was surrounded by minors. She liked them young. She liked them naive. She liked them controllable. She liked all her minors to be subservient AF. None of those minors had a voice for themselves when they were being Debbie Cook's communicators. She slapped her der PR, a minor she brought from literal Canada. Haley is her name, so you don't forget Debbie Cook. So you went around slapping kids, but you really want the whole world to cradle and canoodle you when you had your little finger bent by David Miscavige. Full-grown adult, a woman that you were, but you really want to just focus on that one incident. So that's what that's called in Scientology, you guys, getting part of a withhold, but not the rest. That's Debbie Cook for you. We'll always tell you part of the withhold, but not the rest. Only the part that's convenient so that you really start shedding some tears for her. Oh yeah. Did it get really bad for you in the hole, Debbie Cook? Is it really, really that bad for you over there? Since you were there for, a few weeks? You never did the RPF, Debbie Cook. You literally never did the RPF. So you would literally did a quickie version. And when that happened to you, then all of a sudden, I'm leaving. I'm Debbie Cook. Pay me $100,000 to leave. You guys, Debbie Cook and her husband left with this much in their bank account as they walk out of the hotel. Ask Debbie Cook how much money she put in the pocket of kids that wanted to leave, begged to leave, were locked up against their will, washing bathrooms with muriatic acid and getting interrogated. And when they did finally complete all of that, this is how much money Debbie Cook put them out on the street with. So, Debbie Cook, this. Kids that she abused, this. But the corporate media, ABC News, is all about Debbie Cook and pitching her as a great whistleblower. And wasn't Scientology so pressed when she did go to the stand? And on the stand, Debbie Cook goes, I would have signed that I killed babies and loved it. Meanwhile, Debbie Cook ordered plenty of abortions to underage girls that were her Sea Org members. So before you think, oh yeah, Debbie Cook was just being very dramatic, she wasn't being dramatic. That's who she is. She's a woman that spent 17 years telling other girls that they should go to Planned Parenthood and end it, even if they didn't want that for themselves. Even if they wanted to have a kid for themselves, Debbie Cook was like, nope, you need to end it, and you need to be ethical, and you really need to continue working for me, because whatever in the hell you want to do with your life, it doesn't matter. You are my slave. I'm Debbie Cook. I'm the one that knows everything. And let's just continue running this racketeering enterprise that we have for ourselves.
Then I felt at that time that it was the right thing to do, because I was so terribly caught up in the survival of Scientology, and I was like actually a robot, a Scientologist robot.
Those who get hooked on the pseudo
Yes, guys, Scientology robots. Where are those people calling themselves out as the robots that they were inside of those hotels? Not as the David Miscavige victims that, my God, David was so mean. Oh my God, you guys. David. All the withholds are David's. All the overts are David's. All the bad things that happen to everyone is because of David. And we had nothing to do with it. We were just great little people that really wanted to save the world. We just were so trying to save the world, and just David really did ruin it for us. It's so sad to be me, Debbie Cook. It's so sad to me, Angie Blankenship, that spent the years doing the criminal acts against kids. You guys, that's why it's unthinkable that the corporate media has nothing on Debbie Cook other than she's the one that wrote a ridiculous self-serving email after she ran out 4 years after her 100K must have run out of her account. And Debbie Cook was like, you know what? After 4 years of having spent this 100K, I really do think that I'm owed more. Why don't I just get a bigger piece of the pie and write an email, a little email here for myself. Oh yeah, you guys, it's so bad that you really are being asked for a lot of money when you could just be, instead of paying for buildings, you could have been paying for more incrimination services. That's how stupid that woman is, you guys. You know, if anything, continue paying for the buildings. At least you're not going to continue incriminating yourselves. At least you're not going to continue utilizing minors to launder self-admitted felonies. At least that would be better. So it was better that these people just paid for empty buildings that are just rotting, because at least an empty building that's rotting is not harming a child. But, do you think Debbie Cook cares about harming children? Do you all care? Do you really think that Debbie Cook and those adults that were all about abusing kids and not admitting that they became robots and not admitting that they became unhinged, unscrupulous AF, without any shred of defense? There's no criminal lawyer that could help Debbie Cook, you guys. The type of criminal activities that woman has created for herself and did for 17 years, full knowing, there's no criminal defense attorney that could pitch Debbie Cook. As she didn't know what in the hell she was doing, she cleared the words of every word of every L. Ron Hubbard thing that she read. She did clear those words, and she's still out there purporting that this was a great activity that she was a part of for 17 plus years. She was part of something amazing, is what Debbie Cook says in the public record, you guys. Last time she was speaking, L. Ron Hubbard is my homie. L. Ron Hubbard is the best. L. Ron Hubbard was amazing, and the miraculous, and the technology was so great, so wonderful. But that's what it is, you guys, right? Nobody understands what in the hell she means between those lines. Nobody can tell, because nobody finds out what these audits were really about. That's what Scientology was all about, audits.
Scientific mumbo jumbo about thetans, engrams, hats, wogs, raw meat,
Mumbo-jumbo.
suppressives, and all the rest find it difficult to break loose. The words and regulations of Ron Hubbard and his pervasive organization take a firm hold.
Just Bruce and the rest of the family were expelled from Scientology, and I wasn't at that point because I was on a leave to handle some babysitting problems and stuff. And what I would have had to do in order to remain in Scientology is disconnect from my husband.
Disconnect.
Split up. You know, I go my way, he goes his, because we don't agree. And in order to remain in Scientology, I would have had to leave Bruce, or Bruce left me, or however it worked.
How do you know that?
Because that's the policy. If you're connected to a person who is antagonistic to Scientology or says, you know, nasty things about Scientology to you, then it becomes a condition where you are go to ethics and you're told you have to disconnect from that person.
My thoughts are that they're afraid to really admit that they got took. Completely took. Every single one of them every one of them has made a point of stating the fact that there was good in Scientology. And to me, that's just a way of saying, well, I did get taken, but there was some good in it. And making oneself feel, to an extent, that you weren't duped, but you were duped, Mother.
I was not duped, Susan.
Mother, you were.
I mean, guys, this is like the conversation I never got to have with my own mother. There was something good about it. Oh, but there was this stuff that was very good about it, and there must have been something good about it. There was nothing good about locking people against their will. Period, you guys. There is no way to make a case for practices that distort power dynamic imbalances in kids, in adults perhaps, as this woman that literally goes and defends, and it was so great for me, and I loved being kept against my will, and I loved being humiliated, I loved getting shat on, I loved getting exploited, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. That's all we hear from these abusive adults. They loved it, they were all about it, the sessions couldn't have been more miraculous. Well, you know what? For the kids, the sessions couldn't have been more disgusting and unthinkable. So why are kids still being exposed to audits today? Why are kids still being exposed to ethics handlings today? Why are still Scientology parents being cradled and canoodled and told they can believe whatever in the hell they want? Doesn't matter that their beliefs lead to institutional abuse of minors at scale, leads to kids being told they are nothing but an adult themselves. In what world can adults go around landing inside a hotel where that is going to be how things are going to go? So let's continue hearing how this mom defends that she wasn't took, that she wasn't conned, that there was something amazing about it.
Okay, I grant your beingness to think I was duped, but I know I wasn't. I know I have benefited.
But Mother,
See, and even that, I grant you your beingness. That's how our parents would literally want to gaslight us with those little words that they would use from L. Ron Hubbard, you guys. Because, you know, they had these words, I grant you beingness. It means nothing. To grant someone beingness is a euphemism, a ridiculous, wannabe, intellectual pitch of nothing. These people pitch stupid words that mean nothing other than to their pathetic brains. And with that, they want to hold a card of like, I'm highly intellectual because I read it in a 2-week course that I could use this term, and then I really am more intelligent than everyone else. So do you see how the ego narcissistic mind works for these people in there? It's like, I really do know a word that really gonna make me so special because I didn't go to college. I didn't need to. I didn't need any higher education. 2-week courses inside hotels taught me words that no one else understands except for me and my kids. And these are the words I'm going to utilize on my kids so that they can tell I'm full of shit. Because granting beingness really does sound like something intellectual to these people, believe it or not.
And any benefit I have had outweighs any detriment I have had.
But Mother, I saw you do things that were wrong. And when I told you that they were wrong, you justified it in the name of the organization. And I heard you say more than once that for the good of the org, you were going to do it.
Okay, did I do it?
Yes, and you know it's true because you've actually
Yes,
broken down
I
at
know
times
it's
that
true.
admitted it.
I know
All right,
that's true.
Susan.
So she finally does get to admit. So shout out to this daughter, you guys, that actually was able to hold a parent accountable for the atrocities, even though that parent was doing her best to gaslight her way out of it. She was outnumbered. It was the problem with that woman. She finally was outnumbered by intelligent people that were not going to buy her pathetic pitch. And we're going to call her out on the atrocities she committed. They all know they committed the atrocities, you guys. These are not hidden secrets that only happened when David Miscavige was around, and then every other type of the hotel experience was all just wonderful and great. So let's make sure that's clear.
I will admit publicly, in front of everyone that watches the program, that I got taken. Totally. Okay.
Right.
I got taken.
Good.
I've got no qualms about admitting that.
Okay.
I'm an
John.
idiot for getting taken.
John, did you get nothing good out of Scientology?
Mother,
No, it's not that I didn't get anything good out of Scientology. It is the fact that I cannot definitely say that I wouldn't have gotten the same gains out of some other experience. Because I am still the same person that I was.
Good. You are. I'm not. I know I'm better.
But Mother, you gained from every little bit of fanaticism that you ever had in your whole life. You gained from all the books you used as your Bible before Scientology came along. You gained some little iota of truth. Just as you gained from Scientology when it came along, because you have to gain with the things that you have to reach for. You have this need to gain something and to have something held up as all right and all powerful.
I hold it there. Don't forget that. No one holds it there for me. Only I.
Then in saying that Scientology has ripped you, Mother, you've got to be able to admit to yourself, it really did rip you.
I'm sorry. I don't have to admit that it ripped me. I don't believe that it ripped me. I'm the only one in this whole room that doesn't believe it ripped me. And I really, really, really mean that.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, fine, you don't have to. But I know.
I find the longer that people are in Scientology, the stronger their absorption of L. Ron Hubbard's thoughts, words, and considerations, and that retreat from these particular feelings is perhaps a very slow process, and this is why we have such a divergence of opinion amongst us. I can't believe I ate the whole thing.
You had to say it.
I had to say it.
Good.
Yeah, right.
I got more out of confronting the fact that I got ripped than I ever did in all the sessions I ever had.
I don't want to offend you, but Mother doesn't have any considerations on money. It doesn't mean anything to her. She'd spend it as soon as look at it. And
I'd
in
go
all-
without it if I didn't have it.
all right, but in all honesty, to put up thousands of dollars for a service for which you have no proof it's ever going to do anything. You take the word of a group of people that worship a man just like any other man, and to take those people's word for it and shell out that kind of money just slays me.
I received my bill last week.
I mean, that's all that can be said. How are these people worshiping a convicted felon? And then how are any Scientology parents in this year 2023 going to come up with defending locking kids against their will as a therapeutic, good for them thing to be doing? Because that's what we know today. And these parents want to be like you see here with Susan, it was so good for me. For me, it was great. For me, it was wonderful, whatever. Well, how about the kids you were all exposing? That it wasn't wonderful, that we weren't having the time of our lives by being forced to ask disgusting, horrific, unthinkable questions, being held against our will. Because that's what none of the Scientology parents want to reconcile for themselves, you guys. They don't want to think about it. They make it all about themselves. The good little narcissists that L. Ron Hubbard invited them to all become. Well, if it didn't affect you, then it must have been great for everyone else. It's all we get. Well, you know what, Serge? We had a wonderful time in there. I'm sure y'all did. At the expense of child slaves. The people in the United States that imported slaves from Africa had a jolly old time for themselves too, by the way. Dehumanizing literal humans, treating them like pawns, treating them as if they were subhuman because they weren't as superior than the people in the plantation. That's how slavery works, you guys. That's why slavery is a literal criminal act. Not up for debate, not up for discussion, not it's our opinion and your opinion and whatever. These people did it with kids. They enslaved kids. That's what they're getting called out for. Y'all want to defend the modern enslavement of kids at an industrial size scale, Florida. Go for it. Governor DeSantis, go for it. Defend this religious child slavery plantation that you have an entire downtown occupied by it. And Gavin Newsom, California, Democrats and Republicans, you guys, the two parties are up to their necks and ears with this problem. So before they go, oh, it's just over there, the Democrats. Oh, no, it's just the Republicans. They're both. Los Angeles has a fucking street named after this disgusting, convicted, indicted child trafficking felon. Imagine being California. Jeffrey Epstein Way. Yay. Why don't we just change the name of Sunset to Harvey Weinstein? Why don't we just do that? Why don't we put just more rampant, disgusting child traffickers and literally give them street names? Or what's so special about L. Ron Hubbard? Why does he get a street name and Harvey Weinstein doesn't get one? Why doesn't Ghislaine Maxwell have a street name with her name too? I mean, might as well start a petition to get Debbie Cook Way to be put in Florida, the one that really write an email that really made a lot of difference for a lot of people, a lot of adults that left because Debbie Cook told them to not pay for empty buildings. And she really did a lot. Let's all clap for her. Let's all just, be so excited about all the things that Debbie Cook is still hiding to preserve her image as the woman that was abused by David Miscavige, and she never abused a single child herself. She never trafficked anyone herself. She didn't give these freeloader debts to kids herself, $17,500. Well, that's a small freeloader debt. The one that Debbie Cook handed to me, you guys, was 6 figures after she stole my entire formative years. 6 figures Debbie Cook left me out in the street with this much money against her $100,000 payment that she did sign, that she would have, she would have signed anything, she says. So the debt bondage that Debbie Cook was into, getting minors that she kept as slaves for herself, is making not a shred of sense today, as slavery is alive and well and subsidized and state-sponsored in the United States with the IRS full knowing that kids from all over the world are being made to get illegal visas to become slaves inside hotels. And the Department of ICE that's supposed to enforce the immigration laws, well, you know what? All those immigrants that are trying to cross the border, go to your nearest Scientology place and see if they hook you up with an R1 visa. And if they really like it, if they have minors, that you have minors. If you got kids, you have just landed the jackpot. Because Scientology has the best connections in the world to get y'all a visa into the United States, as long as you're willing to be a slave for whoever replaced Debbie Cook today. Because there is a replacement, trust me. The post of Captain FSO is now being held by another crooked executive, just like Debbie Cook. Not better, not worse, just like her. All of these posts had the same level of oversight, the same level of accountability, the same level of doing everything that Debbie Cook did when she was holding that post. Someone's doing today. Hasn't changed, hasn't gotten better. No word of L. Ron Hubbard has been altered or changed or guardrailed or reined back, or maybe this wasn't a good idea. There is none of that in there. So their ability to evolve is this, you guys. They're going to make no changes. They're going to do nothing to stop abusing minors. They're going to do nothing like that.
From the flagship Apollo, and I owe them $17,500. Bruce and Don owe them $9,300 total. So that's $26,000, something like that, that we three owe Scientology.
But the thing is,
that Scientology claims you owe them.
Yes, claims. We'll never have to pay it. We never will pay it.
All right, so long as that's established.
You asked me earlier if I felt guilty. Okay. To the degree that every one of my family feels that they personally have been ripped off, I feel guilty. 1, 2, 3, 4 times guilty.
But nobody's saying we blame you.
I know you don't.
We're up against a situation where
Really?
it's the lies that we kept encountering all the time that finally brought about the disaffection that grew and resulted in the eventual problems that we ran into.
Okay. I know that. I have that feeling too. And to that degree, I too feel ripped off, if you like. But I don't have that sense of freedom at being ripped off that everybody else seems to have. I have a sense of injustice.
Nobody has a sense of freedom about being ripped off.
No, you say you feel good when you say, I have been ripped off. Okay. I don't feel good when I say I have been ripped off, because there is that sense of injustice and betrayal.
Are you sure you don't
You're-
feel like a sucker?
No.
No, listen.
Because I was sincere and still am.
You still feel this idealistic sensation, this fanaticism about, quote, Scientology.
Because I still see truth. Scientology does have a truth. It has the truth as I see it. It's there, and I want it.
There's a lot of truth in the Bible. Everywhere in life. Everywhere in life.
Listen, John's absolutely right. The
If you
Bible.
look around the corner, you can find a speck of truth here and a speck of truth there.
Okay, fine. Now Scientology's cheated me. Okay, I got ripped.
Do you ever think that you might be quite mad?
So, again, our Scientology parents don't want to admit it, you guys. They're still picking and choosing convenient things that they can pitch as being beneficial. In this year 2023, especially kids such as myself that were made to become auditors at age 12, have this to say about the benefits of that disgusting thing. It's all a piece of garbage, bullshit, unthinkable, child depraved abuse. These kids were older that are with this mother. At least she didn't subject her 4-year-olds, her 9-year-olds, her 12-year-olds, her 14-year-olds to what was done to us, who were exposed at that age, who were told that we were adults at 12 years old and go and interrogate adults, is what Debbie Cook was having me do for her. Starting at age 12, charging my parents money to train me to become that. Every adult around me applauding the fact that I was doing that course at 12, that I was interrogating, that I had a high confront of evil, is what they told me. Well, I don't know that I had a shred of confront of anything then, you guys, because I don't know what in the hell I was doing. But today I have a high confront of evil. I can see straight through this disgusting pig, L. Ron Hubbard, with those disgusting teeth. And I can tell you, locking humans against their will was never beneficial. So if the first thing about L. Ron Hubbard is lock someone against their will, then maybe the rest of the pitch is worth jack shit too. So yes, I'm very antagonistic to the fraud perpetrated on all these people. And if they cannot advocate for themselves, that's fine. We will. It's not like our parents didn't make us be their parents already. That's what we were left with, a bunch of infantilized, pathetic adults that didn't want to be adults. They wanted to be pathetic, infantile kids that listened to their daddy figure, L. Ron Hubbard, who really had it all figured out for them, and they're all playing a game, and don't you want to be part of this game? And let's all just play a game, and we're just adults who play a lot of games inside of those hotels. Well, y'all should have not exposed a shred of 21 and under to those disgusting, depraved adult games that you were all about. That's what's getting called out today. If you as adults want to be depraved, humiliated, shat on, pissed on, ripped off, and you really want to sign up for that, that's on you. That's on y'all. The adults that really do love this man who really is, what do they call it? A prophet? So go help yourself to this disgusting pig. Help yourselves. No one's going to stop you from helping yourselves to this.
Oh, yes. The one man in the world who never believes he's mad is a madman.
With me in the studio is Brian Levman, the president and assistant guardian of the Church of Scientology in Canada. Mr. Levman, before we begin, I'd like to reiterate the terms of your appearance here. It is not a statement of reply. It's an interview. We don't have equal time as yet in Canada, and I think in the context of the film we've just seen, maybe that's a pretty good thing. So I'd like to start by asking you about your organization's interest in mental health. I gather that this is a matter of great concern to the Church of Scientology. Is that true?
Well, before we start, do you mind telling me how many people are watching the show?
I haven't the faintest idea.
I see. Well, I must congratulate you. You've done an excellent professional. SCTV is known for a smear job on the church. There's been a lot of libelous statements made tonight. And I presume you're basing...
that's settled in courts. It's not a matter.
Imagine being this pig. You guys. Imagine being this pig sent by OSA. This grown-ass, disgusting degenerate that wants to talk about a lot of libelous statements have been made. This idiot had a front row seat at the hotels. So let's make sure that that is clear next time, because yes, you know what? Back then, 50 years ago, nobody had a clue. Nobody had been inside the hotel. Nobody had a front row seat. Nobody had become a class 4 auditor an FBRD specialist, a security specialist, an ethics specialist, all the BS things that I was told I was inside of those hotels. So libelous is utter BS. If anything, the media still went too soft on them back in the day because they didn't catch the fact that kids, underage kids, were being exposed by their parents to unthinkable adult-only games at best. Role-playing inside hotels, dub sessions where somebody was the dom, aka the auditor, where somebody was the sub, aka the PC, where the dom was going to have their way with the sub, where the sub was not going to be able to say no, was not going to be able to have a safe word, was not going to be able to say stop, was not going to be able to have a shred of control. But these are the people that we're really about. Really, let's talk about mental health, you guys. People are really being electroshocked, and that really should be something we should all be concerned about. You were electroshocking kids by people that completed a 2-week course inside of a disgusting, despicable child trafficking hotel run by Debbie Cook for 17 years is where I had a front row seat to see how these hotels operated. So these disgusting OSA people that are just unindicted felons in and of themselves that get very insulted when they get called out for their disgusting depravities. That's all you ever see from these Scientology people. Oh, don't insult us. Don't tell us we did anything wrong. We can't handle it. Really disconnect from every suppressive. Anyone that tells you you're doing something disgusting is the enemy, is what their little daddy grandfather figure L. Ron Hubbard told these useless, pathetic drones. Clowns from hell. Child abusing clowns from hell. And you're going to continue seeing how this man, the level of arrogance displayed. Because again, no L. Ron Hubbard protege wants to hear that what they're doing is wrong in any way, shape, or form. They literally have connection fits that you're going to see here when they get even told that they're doing something disgusting.
I presume, well, I'm sure that that will be mentioned as well, despite the fact that you may have got the people who appeared on the show to sign releases releasing you from legal liabilities. If you think that CTV is indeed released, I'm sure
we'll
you're very misguided.
I'd like to pursue
let me
your church's interest in mental
first
health.
of
I
all
understand
say,
you did a big report in mental health. Has that report been endorsed by any legitimate organization?
well, Mr. Gould, I don't think we're here to discuss Scientology because nothing I've heard
I'm here
in the
to
first
ask you
20 minutes of
questions
the tape
about Scientology.
had anything to do with Scientology. I'd like to make an answer to the spokesman, the McLeans, that spoke at the first part of the show. I'm not here to continue a mudslinging campaign that has already been started against the church.
Mr. Levman. We're trying to seek the
But
truth.
I would like to
your
say,
church, I must say, has probably been the most uncooperative organization that we've ever tried to report on.
To continue, I'm getting very much less than a quarter of
The most uncooperative is what these unindicted felons have been to anyone that wants to ask them any questions, you guys. And unfortunately, again, no one can ask hard-hitting questions enough because as this Brian Levman, assistant guardian of Scientology, a guardian, a protector of child abusers is what you're seeing right here on TV. A protector of child traffickers, protecting them actively with the lies that he's now spewing here. So why are child abusing protectors given so much cradle and canoodling? Why are they being treated so nice with kid gloves? Why?
show to appear on the church on behalf of the Church of Scientology. to continue, I'd like to say that
Mr. Levman, you're here for an interview, not for a statement. Those were the terms
I think
under
we
which you made
first
an
of all
appearance.
should take a look at the credibility or lack of such of the people you've had come on and testify against us. Now, you tell me, Mr. Gould, if an alcoholic comes on a show and tells you that you're an alcoholic or some such other thing, or if a drug addict tells you that you're a drug addict,
I repeat to you,
what
Mr.
is
Levin,
the credibility of
we
that?
asked your organization for a number of interviews and we refused them. Now, I'd like to pursue some questions, and if you refuse to answer the questions, then we can forget it. I'd like to ask you, for example, about handling illness in Scientology. From the Hubbard Communications Office, St. Hill Manor, East Grimstead, Sussex, HCO Bulletin, 16 August, etc., etc., etc.
Well, I think
Don't mistake that Dianetics can all by itself practically bring the dead to life to all intents and purposes, and it can be used all by itself.
Mhm.
Is that a true statement of the
If I may
of your
just
church?
go back to something you said earlier about the church, you asking for the church several times to get interviews. And may I point out that that was conducted in a very unethical way by CTV. You sent undercover people into the church to harass
Mr.
us.
Ledman, would you care to
I'd
answer
be
the question?
yes, I would. I'd
Would
love
you
to
answer,
answer
would
your
you
question.
answer that question?
You're asking me, is it true that Christ raised the dead? Is that it?
No, well, maybe Christ did. You're
seems to me
saying that
that-
Dianetics has.
I'm saying
Can.
that Dianetics, as a science of the mind or the spirit, by alleviating spiritually caused ills, can handle a person's suffering if indeed they're spiritually caused. That is all that so-called bulletin says.
It says
that you're reading from.
handling illness in Scientology.
You're taking something out of context. I think
Well,
what we're
I'll
dealing
read
with,
the whole thing if
we have
that's
a really problem
necessary.
in communicating.
I'll read the whole thing if that's necessary.
Why don't we get down to
Because
the real
when
issue?
Dianetics can't, if it doesn't work, it says it can do. When that doesn't work completely, then the Class 8 case supervisor and well-trained Scientology auditors can step in.
Why don't we get down to the real issue? That is that the church has a campaign going to decry abuses in the field of mental health, abuses like psychosurgery, involuntary sterilization that is going on now in Ontario, electric shock therapy, and matters like this. And some people don't like that for some reason or another. And as a result, the church has been attacked back. For example, I know that Mr. Katz of the Toronto Star tried to write an article, a bad article on us, but was not able to. He was a friend of Mr. Reed's, so presumably he put him on to Mr. Reed, who's an associate producer of this show. And now you're trying to do this type of smear campaign on us. Now, what can I do? Deny the allegations you've made? 9 million Scientologists can deny the allegations you made, but I notice you don't have even one on the show.
Are there 9
The
million?
purpose of this is to make
there
the
9
church.
million?
Yes, there are. The purpose of this is to make the church look bad. Why make it a joke?
If there are
CTV
9
is being
million
unethical,
if there are
unfair,
9
and making
million
a smear on a religion.
If there are 9 million,
Why
religion, are
pretend
you a
to make it
religion?
accurate?
Are you a religion?
The church has never been called anything else but a religion.
Do
You
you
bring
worship?
up, for example,
you worship?
Of course, you bring up, for example, the Victoria.
To whom do you?
They worship, you guys. They worship child traffickers. That's who they worship. They worship child abuse at scale, at an industrial size scale. There is no hotel like a Scientology hotel. It doesn't exist. It's not a business model that is operating in some other capacity. It's not like anyone else is doing it. These people only do it the way they do it, and no one else in the entire world is video recording disgusting admissions of felonies while also decrying psychiatry because, oh yeah, look over there, they really are abusing people, as if projecting them abusing kids and them decrying other type of abuse doesn't make them the abusers that they are. And again, Scientology is the most disgusting abuser, given that their literal prey are kids. They prey on kids. All Scientology adults prey on kids. All Scientology parents prey on kids. All Scientology auditors prey on kids. All Scientology case supervisors prey on kids. All ethics officers in Scientology are preying on kids. All executives in Scientology are preying on kids. They are predators. They stick their fangs on kids. They steal kids' dignity. They steal kids' innocence. They steal it. They suck it up. And with those delusions of grandeur, they don't want to be ever asked any questions that are hard-hitting. This reporter was doing his best, but you see the level of arrogance that he's up against. This man is not there to answer any questions. He's there to sabotage the interview, because he's unwilling to look into his own skull. L. Ron Hubbard told him, do not look at your criminal activity. Just project on everyone else. Attack everything else and never, ever, ever even think for 1 second that maybe you're the one with the problem, instead of trying to make everyone else that asks a question the ones with the problem.
The Victoria inquiry at the beginning of your show.
To whom do you
But
pray?
you failed to mention that the Attorney General of Australia, Senator Lionel Murphy, has officially exonerated Scientology from any charges and has officially recognized this as a religion.
You know, Mr.
And there you go, guys. Australia was the first disgusting, corrupt country. And this senator that he just mentioned, the first one to get corrupted, the first one to go in bed with child traffickers. Australia set the model for every other country to give these disgusting child abusing predators from hell, these Ghislaine Jeffrey Epsteins on crack, on steroids, state-sponsored abusing of trafficking of minors, have the full backup of the Clearwater Police Department, the full backup of the LAPD, the full endorsement of the LA Times, the full endorsement of the Tampa Bay Times, the full endorsement of the IRS, the full endorsement of ICE, the full endorsement of all law enforcement, because inside of hotels run by L. Ron Hubbard proteges, the laws of the United States do not apply. The laws of the United States are useless, toothless, ridiculous, obsolete things that none of these people have to care about. So in what world can a hotel like that really operate as a 501c, aided and abetted by the commissioner of the IRS? Because that's what we need to understand today. In what world can Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell on crack, aka David Miscavige and Shelley Miscavige, the two degenerates at the top of this child trafficking food chain, are allowed to run hotels day in and day out, where abuse of minors is not a one-off. It's not a once in a while. It happens because we got infiltrated by disgusting degenerates. It's called they are all in on paying to abuse kids. They are all in on having a safe environment where abusing a kid will see not a shred of consequence.
You bring up
Redmond.
England, where the church was supposedly restricted from entering, but you refuse to mention, deliberately refused to mention, that in 1971 a report was issued by the church, by the church as well as by the Home Office,
Mr. Leveman, it's very
stating that
it's
all the
very
charges
easy
you
to-
made against us were unconstitutional
very
and
easy to
exonerating
state
the
a great
church.
number of things. In fact, one of your people stated to one of our researchers that a so-called report of yours in mental health institutions in Canada had been endorsed by the Manitoba government.
No, we stated that
I
they
assume
bought,
that was a
they
true
bought
statement.
100 copies of such.
True statement to our researcher. We have a letter here from the Minister of Health and Social Development in Winnipeg. who denies that completely. My department has not endorsed the report signed by Rennie Tupan, the minister.
My dear sir, what was stated was that the government of Manitoba purchased 100 copies of our report. If you want to see the invoice, you're quite entitled to see their order
Yes,
invoice.
he says they
and that's
he's-
all that was stated
he
to your
says they did
researchers.
purchase. He says they did purchase it. The action did not and does not imply support of endorsement. Goes on to explain.
What are you, an a-religionist?
On the
Do you
contrary,
feel obligated to
on the
attack
contrary,
religion?
I just wonder
to make
about
a
an
farce out of
organization.
things?
I wonder about an organization that
But you don't know a thing about
encourages
it.
people
You
to
haven't
go
shown any
thousands
knowledge
of
about it.
dollars into debt in the pursuit of 2 soup cans tied to the end of a meter.
I see. Who encourages people? I'm afraid the people themselves, if they wish to donate money to the church, are quite entitled to it. If you don't like it, that's your business. But
Brian Levman,
But take a look at the field of psychiatry, where people
the
spend a lot
president,
more.
assistant guardian, says he has a number of other titles for the Church of Scientology in Canada.
Well, there you go, guys. That is the end of this rather eye-opening news segment where at least the corporate media shows us that this is what it looks like when they are trying to investigate. Again, never mind that there were a ton of minors shown in the ship floating with L. Ron Hubbard, and at the time, child trafficking wasn't a concern. But yet again, today we have child trafficking not a concern in this year 2023. Could not be less of a concern to anybody, including but not limited to the LAPD, not a concern, including but not limited to the Clearwater PD. They are not concerned at all with kids getting abused. They are playing willfully ignorant. They're playing, oh yeah, we did hear from the IRS that it is a church, so nothing to see here. So I'm going to go through some comments real quick. Cornelius, Debbie Cook, brothel, madam. That's right. That's what these executives were. Madams inside hotels. Scientology, it's a crime ring. Correct. It's a child trafficking conspiracy that is aided and abetted and state-sponsored by these United States of America as it exported the scourge of this child trafficking abuse operation to the entire world, no less. And all the other idiots all around the world that really bought the pitch from this American disgusting radicalized from hell situation. These are radicalized people. They are a clear and present danger to kids. No kid is safe in the hands of any L. Ron Hubbard protege. From Kelly Copter, Serge, you're so well spoken, my friend. Thank you for the work you do. Oh, well, thank you, Kelly. Let's see, I know I had some questions. Hello, Selma. Hi, Tom. Hi, Tina. Serge, Dr. Berg has been getting away with Scientology solutions for decades now. Yeah, Dr. Berg. And then there's that other one. What's his name? Grant Cardone, another grifter from hell, doing all manner of horrible things. But they're not been getting called out enough, right, guys? They're still not getting called out enough. Hi, Willie. Hi, Liz. Paula. You guys were so active in the comments here. Martha said, converted cattle car is now a yacht. How Scientological. That's what they were cattling all the kids in, guys. In literal yachts. They really thought they were upper echelons. They were really getting to the upper echelons of, full entitlement. That describes it so well. Yes, Kelly. That's the entitlement that we're calling out. Like, if you thought that L. Ron Hubbard gave you the entitlement to do whatever in the hell you wanted in this year 2023, we are telling you it didn't. You were misinformed, you were conned, you were told something that was completely ridiculous. So, thank you. Next. Children of Scientology. Kids at Flag, Land Base, and PAC were absorbed or kept out of sight until capable of contributing, i.e., being labor trafficked, all the while being victimized and punished when they didn't comply. So, yeah. And then they knew what they were doing. They thought it was acceptable. And that's what we're figuring out right now, you guys. In what world are people that did everything full knowing? Like what we said before, they were video recording it, they were transcribing it. So they have not a shred of plausible deniability to be like, it's not like the Boy Scouts where everybody was like, oh, I really thought everybody was just like, making some strings on the side and they really were just camping, all innocent. This is not that. This is literally these disgusting monsters such as Debbie Cook knew when a child was raped inside of her hotels, blamed it on the child, power tripped herself into assigning two of her best interrogators to interrogate each one of the victims and sweep it all under a literal disgusting corruption rug. Debbie Cook, who had, you guys, access to the best legal minds in the country. I mean, don't y'all know that Scientology hires the best legal attorneys, like the ones that charge $1,000 an hour to just even pick up a phone? So, in what world can all of these executives in Scientology want to claim that, oh, but we really did think that everything was normal we were doing in there? Because, so, you know what, never mind, we didn't have legal counsel. Oh, you know what, never mind, we did hire all the best of the best legal minds. But apparently, no legal mind that is hired by Scientology has decided to rein their client in. No, none of these legal minds have decided, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't be abducting kids. Maybe you shouldn't be doing what L. Ron Hubbard told you to do, just exactly at its face. Helicopter, we've all been interrogated like this weekly as children. They pretend it's normal and make you apologize for being suppressive. Took so long for me to like myself after all of that. I was an SB since 6 years old. And I mean, again, you guys, it's like the fact that 6-year-olds are being exposed to this. In what world can anyone that's 6 years old defend themselves against all of this legal malpractice, medical malpractice, child trafficking laws violation, up the yin yang, that all Scientology parents are guilty of? We don't need a stupid court to tell us that our parents are unindicted felons themselves. We don't need it. We saw what they were doing. We now connected the dots as adults in adult bodies that we are, mind you. We are adults in adult bodies now, and we are having access to Google. We are able to GTS for ourselves what in the world was pitched and compare the real receipts that are irreconcilable. Like, there's no way to reconcile nothing now. So if we cannot reconcile what happened to us in our childhood, and then we turn around and see that everything that happened to us is still being done to other kids, then what? Then how? How is all of this okay with everybody? Why is there such an incredible lack of outrage coming from the people that were intimately involved with abusing kids at scale today. Because you know what? We're not seeing a ton of like, oh my God, I really did fuck up. I really did screw up a lot of kids. Where's the corporate media caring about kids? Where's the corporate media's concerned about what happened to kids? Where is that concern, you guys? Why is that concern nowhere to be found? Why is the corporate media so recklessly negligent? Why? Ideal Borg, is there a way for an ex to get a copy of their PC folder if they leave? No, they cannot get a copy, but you know, people have escaped with them. So there are some people that have escaped with these files already. And the files were already deemed able to be pulled in by courts, went all the way up to the Superior Court in Rebecca de Crescenzo case and the forced abortion civil case that did get filed for minors being made to go to get abortions in not just Debbie Cook's organization. In this case, it happened in California. Never mind that Florida has not prosecuted a single case of forced abortions. And guess what? Debbie Cook had the most abortions out of anyone. She runs circles on all other organizations. Debbie Cook had the biggest hotel. So the most abortions happen in Florida, and nothing has been done by any of the idiots in Florida to stop it. Imagine that, you guys. Imagine just hundreds and hundreds of abortions ordered on women, and not one single shred of prosecution. Imagine being the literal Attorney General of Florida, not giving an F. Not giving an F about abortions. We're not talking abortions where people wanted to go get the abortion. These women didn't want to get the abortion. They were being forced, cajoled, coerced. So there's so much corruption and so much lack of outrage. And that's why we are calling it out. Because it's the lack of outrage in this year 2023. It's the complete and utter apathy of this corporate media that just wants to pretend investigations are so hard, Serge. Proving things is so hard. It's just so hard to do our job. We cannot put any money into investigating anything because you know what? That's going to cost us money. So let's just continue going with the BS celebrity gossip that we do pitch ad nauseum. Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Nicole Kidman, Kelly Preston, all the Hollywood people. Let's talk about those ad nauseum, but let's not hold them accountable for anything. Let's just bring up their name and make a quick buck. Let's just put their name on a YouTube so we can make a quick buck and then go to the next story. Because we really got the stories here in the corporate media. We really know what in the hell we're talking about. For a group that cares so much about public relations, they sure are dog shit at PR. Well, yes and no, right? Because they really do their public relations with the LAPD. The gullible LAPD could not be more gullible and eating out of the palm of the hand of Marisol Nichols, the human trafficking division, who has been completely kneecapped by a honeypot that Scientology sent to them. Actress Marisol Nichols, go rub elbows with everyone at the LAPD, because of course, if an actress that plays cop really shows up, then it couldn't be that she's also a child trafficker herself. Couldn't be that she's supporting child trafficking that goes on in the Celebrity Center Hotel. Beck, oh, thank you for the super chat, Beck. Dearest sweet Serge, love and light to you. This is so hard. Thank you for exposing I'm sharing my story tomorrow, and it has a lot to do with all of this. Ciao. Thank you, everyone who supports us. Well, thank you, Beck. And I'm so glad that you are getting your story told, as every survivor is owed. It's owed getting the chance to tell their truth. It's owed getting the chance to shine a light on all of this dysfunction that is not just going to happen for no reason. If it was done to us, it's not going to be done to more kids. They got away with doing it to us. They did get away with it. They did get completely cradled and canoodled and state-sponsored to be that disgusting. Well, you know what? They've completely run out of luck today. Today, there is no bandwidth to cradle and canoodle adults. There is no bandwidth to make up excuses. We were just so brainwashed. Oh, we were so brainwashed. No, you were not brainwashed. You made a choice to buy a pitch from a convicted, indicted felon. So if you have a problem with that pitch, go talk to the New York Times and ask them why he's still a New York Times bestseller. Why is the entire editorial board of the New York Times not retracted somebody that was pitching for pedophiles to blame it on the kid? That's what we need to hear from the New York Times editorial board. Another bunch of pathetic wokes, good for nothing is what you are, New York Times. Good for nothing. What intellect can any of you have in your brains if in the year 2023 you've done nothing to remove your full seal of approval on the book where L. Ron Hubbard told everyone that abusing kids and the kids resisting the abuse was a problem that they needed to deal with, the kids themselves. Paris Kashin, it's so cruel, it's unimaginable. The second generations never even learned the Constitution and were blocked from knowing they had civil rights that protect them from this abuse as American citizens. Absolutely, Paris. That's exactly right. We were told the Constitution was stupid, you guys. Like, these people denigrated the Constitution, denigrated they're like, "Oh, you never want to sue. Suing is the most stupid thing you could possibly do. Don't ever go to the police. You wouldn't want to talk to them. They're so stupid. They're so corrupt." Meanwhile, they're besties with the police. The people that really needed to be besties with the police. So the idiots at the police could really buy the pitch that these are people that are great and amazing because they do bring cookies every time they come see us. They do have honeypots that come and talk to us, and, you know, they couldn't be doing anything wrong inside of those hotels. Would be interesting to hear Serge talk to someone involved in FLDS raids in Texas. Credit to Texas CPS for at least trying. Yes, you know, those people at the FLDS, again, it's just a bunch of pathetic adults that want to abuse kids and have found a loophole to do that without consequences by really tapping the IRS to put a cross in front of anything, and then all of a sudden, everyone is just gonna play dumb. So, AV Dazzle, Serge, your passionate advocacy for the children is inspiring. I love your ferocious sarcasm. Much MF love to you. Yes, AV Dazzle, thank you. Well, you know what it is too, you guys, is we were always told to suppress our emotions inside of those hotels, all to the benefit of our abusers. And right now, our sarcasm and our anger is directed to two buckets of people: Scientology parents, Scientology executives. Whatever deal our crooked parents made with child trafficking executives, is high time for them to start checking the receipts. It's time for them to start actually getting with the program that's called the law that you all broke. The law that you all wiped your you-know-whats with. The law that could not be any more unenforceable, given that it's the year 2023 and kids are being exposed to this. And we're going to be doing more of these reaction videos to actual receipts that we're getting right now, you guys, where parents are still making their kids become auditors, where parents are sharing wins of ethics things that they're doing on their kids. And they're still just like, saying whatever in the hell they want in there. The abuse starts in disgusting basement for the babies and continues till they're trapped and alone at the top floor and no walkers or wheelchairs to do laundry or get food. No humanity. That's right, guys. No humanity inside of the hotels. Is just a literal free-for-all. Get yourself a kid, abuse them. No one's going to bat an eye. No one's going to do anything about it. They're all of the adults are going to be so happy with the child abuse expedition that they're all in on and that they're all about endorsing. They see it, they watch it, they record it. And again, you guys, the adults love these sessions. Don't get it twisted. Just like what we saw in this mother here, but I thought it was so amazing for me. It was so wonderful. It was so transcendental. That was our parents. They all loved it so much, and they were very aware of what it was. So it's not like they didn't know. It's not like they were like, oh, but we had no idea. We thought that it was all going to be great. People getting locked up inside of the room was told to them in the auditor's code. Just one policy L. Ron Hubbard wrote, lock someone against their will, and then all of a sudden everyone was okay with it. And I mean, you even saw it here that if you had, one critical thinking skill to yourself, that they would come down hard on you. It's like, oh, why are you talking about L. Ron Hubbard being bad? So, no. Oh, and then this one here, more on search on Scientology enablers at Lighthouse Project podcast presented by Children of Scientology. Definitely check out this video that we put out yesterday, you guys. It's about the Danny Masterson and the bunch of enablers that he had in order to get away with it, because we speak to Miriam and Christy from the Lighthouse Project podcast. And we really start getting into the weeds on how is this a culture of enablers. It's not a culture of like nobody knew what in the hell nothing was. It's a culture where everybody knows everything. And that's the problem. That's what is so indefensible. It would be easier to heal yourself and go with your life. Instead, you share yourself and go back to the lion's den to help the ones left behind, Serge. Well, thank you, One Love. Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense to us, right, guys? Like at the end of the day, we were given a front row seat at that hotel, and we were made to carry all this water for all of these deranged L. Ron Hubbard proteges. But you know what? The year 2023 came, and we're like, here's your goddamn water. Carry it yourself. And start making sense for a change. That's our message to all Scientology adults that are implicated. That's our message to Debbie Cook and Angie Blankenship that are cashing checks to shut the hell up. We carried y'all's water, all your blood water that was on our backs. We're done carrying it for y'all. Now you can turn yourselves to your nearest FBI station and start providing receipts. Start actually singing about all the child trafficking that you were both involved in. You two specifically, Angie Blankenship and Debbie Cook, you guys. These two women are the biggest of the biggest fish of abusers. It doesn't get bigger than Debbie Cook and Angie Blankenship. It doesn't. They're going to want to make you believe that David Miscavige was off in a fucking corner abusing adults. These women were off in hotels abusing the kids themselves. So as much as the corporate media, again, has cradled and canoodled Debbie Cook, the one that had no problem with anything other than David Miscavige, no. Debbie Cook is the biggest child trafficker. She makes Jeffrey and Ghislaine look like they were this minuscule. Never mind, that's another child trafficking operation founded and done in Florida. Why are all these child trafficking operations of these networks of child traffickers finding such a convenient place to prop up their hotels and mansions in Florida? That's a question we're going to leave for the Attorney General of Florida that we already did. Remember, guys, that little video where she's all about, yeah, we really want to stop human trafficking, you guys, in Florida. We really are about stumping it out, but not if it happens in luxury hotels. They're not interested in stumping out trafficking of minors in luxury hotels. They only want to stop trafficking of minors that happen in shitty truck stop hotels. So we're pushing back on that ridiculous BS narrative that the trafficking of minors only happens in seedy motels. Never mind that the QI 100% qualifies as a seedy child trafficking motel. The QI, don't forget, the one that Debbie Cook ran for 17 years. The one where Nestor Vivas, remember Debbie Cook, Nestor Vivas? The guy from Nicaragua who was literally abusing a 6-year-old inside of the QI that you found out all about, that you told everyone about. There's just so many examples, you guys, of these disgusting things that happen. And again, these pathetic idiots thought, well, gee, if I tell everyone at a staff meeting that these horrible crimes happen, then it must not be illegal. Because you know what? We're so transparent here, you have no idea. Well, you guys were only being transparent inside of the hotels and circumventing all manner of laws, Debbie Cook. But you telling people at a staff meeting how a minor, how a 6-year-old was being raped by Nestor Vivas does not make it any less illegal. And why you having such great connections to the Clearwater police and never told them a shred of anything, that would be great for you to explain to the Clearwater Police Commissioner, who is goo goo gaga for these hotel people, you guys. So Clearwater Police enabling all of the abuse of minors in Clearwater. In Clearwater, 1 block away from the police is perfectly legal to abuse any minor you feel like abusing. Good luck getting any help from anyone in that police department. When kids got found in the middle of the freeway, in the middle of the beach, in the middle of trying to escape, the Clearwater police would bring them right back to Debbie Cook. Oh, here, Debbie Cook, we found this one running away. Y'all will handle it, right? We don't have to do anything with that, right? Okay, great. Well, have a great day. See you later. See you around. So let's find out why Florida is so friendly to traffickers, you guys. Let's find out why that is. And also let's find out why California. And don't forget, there is going to be a protest going on the 21st, where we're going to go to Celebrity Center, the place where Danny Masterson and plenty other celebrities, Laura Prepon, Nicole Kidman, Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise. Oh yeah, don't forget these people that walked out of a threshold of a hotel have blood in their hands of all the minors that they were fully in donating money to have trafficked, you guys. So as much as everyone goes, oh yeah, but Katie Holmes did really leave. She's an OT7 that left because she thought, oh, my child's going to be in danger. I wouldn't want my child to be in danger. Okay, bye-bye. Let me really leave. And let me leave all the other children in there in danger because I don't give an F because I'm Katie Holmes and I can just go and play dumb. And the Hollywood Reporter will pitch me as this big, amazing woman that left and really did take care of whatever in the hell Katie Holmes took care of herself. Selfish AF is what that's called, you guys. It's like, okay, maybe you could have said, well, yeah, I did get caught up in the wrong thing. Well, what have you done to stop what was done, Katie? Nothing. Nothing. You've done nothing. Well, wow, congratulations. Can't wait to read your next Hollywood Reporter pitch about how amazing you are and how you have nothing to do with what was done to those kids inside of those hotels. Literally, Jessica Feshbach, your bestie, was a slave that was trained by me, Katie, as a minor. Imagine that. Imagine how close you were to the trafficking yourself. Your own handler was trafficked as a kid. Jessica Feshbach trafficked inside those hotels by her millionaire parents, the Feshbachs. So see how there's no plausible deniability for nobody, guys. Everybody's implicated. Everybody's dirty AF. And everyone's going to get called out until they start coming clean. Because that's what they told us in those hotels, that when your ethics goes in, then you really start coming clean. Well, let's see the cleanliness. Let's see where the cleanliness is coming from all the mothers that watched the abuse take place. All the mothers that read the disgusting pitch of L. Ron Hubbard and are thinking today in this year 23, you know what I really should do? Never talk about this again. That's really what I really should do. You know what I really should do? All those books that I read, all those courses that I did, all that stuff that I did. You know what? I should just pretend that I never read them. I just gonna pretend that, I'm gonna really put some distance between me and those books. It's exactly what Laura Prepon is doing right now. It's like, yeah, Danny Masterson was my FSM. Danny Masterson was the person that I went to for everything. Carol Masterson. I only dated Chris Masterson for 7 years. I only got told all the gossip of what happened when Danny Masterson was there. So that's where we're going to go and protest in front of that celebrity center that is literally where Nora was child trafficked, where Liz Ferris was child trafficked, where Serge Oblinsky was being made to do construction and child trafficked, and when all manner of celebrities have been enabled to break the law. And we at least just now have one of them facing consequences. But why is there only one person facing consequences, you guys? So thank you so much for all of you who have listened to this news report. I hope that you found it as informational as I did when I watched it. I hope that it gave us hope that, investigative journalism is a thing. It's not just a platitude. It's just that we don't have any examples of this type of journalism being done today. We have not a shred of journalists investigating and going inside of the hotels. So we would love to get all the investigative journalists to understand that there is a thing called Google Glasses out there for yourselves that you can buy at your nearest Apple store or, Google search away. Put those Google Glasses and get yourselves inside of that hotel so y'all don't have to rely on kids such as myself to be told how it went there. Go and find out for your damn selves. Go see how many kids are exposed to what we're talking about. Because right now, all we're doing is bypassing all of you because you don't want to do anything that requires actual heavy lifting and due diligence. So that's where we're 100 steps ahead of any story right now, you guys. It's not because kids are not being abused and, Serge, Liz Ferris, Christy Gordon, Nora, Helicopter, literally Vanessa, literally so many of the second generation kids that are coming on here every day to discuss unthinkable abuse. We're all just pressed and have a bone to pick. We don't want to talk about these nauseating hotels anymore, but we will talk about them until every last child is out of the grip of these vampires, these disgusting self-entitled degenerates. No kids should be anywhere near a Scientology adult. Period. Full stop. And if you don't know, go check the books. Go check the pitches from L. Ron Hubbard. And if you want to defend kids still being exposed to L. Ron Hubbard proteges, make it make sense. Try it. We dare you all to make it make sense to us. So I'll be doing another video coming up with another kid. So stay tuned for that. And as always, I will see you guys all very, very soon. Thank you and bye-bye.